Epic, you guys. This is epic breakfast meal prep. Hey guys, Kira here from 50 Shades of Mom, tips for all shades of mom life. And in today's video, I have some breakfast meal prep for you. And not just any kind of breakfast meal prep, we're talking epic. I have literally every kind of breakfast here for you, whether it's pancakes and crunchy French toast and dark chocolate waffles, or we are doing a smoothie packs or 2 different kinds of muffins, or we can make egg sandwiches homemade, like homemade McGriddles, homemade breakfast burritos, and homemade croissant egg sandwiches. There is literally nothing but breakfast fun packed up in this video. So if you like these kinds of videos and you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss future uploads from me. And if you guys are ready to prepare for some breakfast meal prep, then hold on tight. I don't know about you guys, but the busiest part of our day is always in the morning, just getting motivated, getting into our schoolroom, getting into a routine, and I don't ever want to worry about breakfast. So I made sure to pack tight my freezer of everything we possibly could want, and we're going to spend the next 6 weeks enjoying this until I have to go ahead and do this all over again. But for now, sit back, sit tight, grab yourself a drink and a snack, and let's talk some breakfast meal prep. All right, you guys, so we're actually starting with something super simple, and that is smoothie packs. Smoothies are go-to for my kids, and very similar to the way I like my omelets, smoothies are like the garbage pail of food, because anytime you have any fruit that's starting to go bad, you can just go ahead and throw it in a smoothie. Now, I'm actually making fairly large smoothies. I'm using them in a gallon size plastic freezer bag because we usually make about 32 ounces. We have a bunch of people in this house will drink a smoothie, so we usually make a whole pitcher. So over here, I have 4 different piles of fruit, a variety of peaches and plums, strawberries. Over there, I have some raspberries that are starting to go bad. I have our favorite Honey Crisp apple juice. I have some vanilla yogurt from Trader Joe's, and then I have some bananas. Bananas are always a staple inside of our smoothies. So we're just going to go ahead and load those freezer bags into my self-standing stands. I love these freezer bag holders. I have them linked in my Amazon store below, and they make doing things like this absolutely super easy. So I usually go ahead and start off with 1 banana in every single one of my smoothies, and then we'll just go ahead and throw in our variety of fruit, and then I add in probably about, I would say, a cup of yogurt. Again, we're going for a fairly big pitcher, so I would say probably about a cup of yogurt, and then I would say probably about a cup of apple juice. Now, sometimes I use orange juice, sometimes I use pineapple juice. I even just ordered elderberry juice from Thrive Market because that's good for the immune system, just to go ahead and throw that in as well. It's really whatever juice that you have on hand. And then I throw in about 2 of my cupfuls of ice out of my ice machine. If your fruit was not frozen, I would recommend throwing in more ice, but being that we're going to freeze the fruit as well, this is going to go into our blender later as one big frozen block. So no more ice is needed, and then that's it, you guys. We're gonna seal up the bag nice and tight, as airtight as you can get it, and I always try to form it so that it's as flat as possible, so when I'm freezing it in the freezer, it just makes it that much easier to stack them. And then I usually just go ahead and repeat the process until I'm completely out of fruit and I have my desired amount of smoothie packs. Now, before we go on, I want to stop for a minute and talk about my new countertop ice maker. So this is a nugget ice maker that was sent to me by New Air. So thank you guys so much to them. You guys, I have been repping their products for a while. If you've been following me, you know I have all of their wine fridges and beverage coolers. I absolutely love their products, and I never even knew I wanted an ice machine until they sent one to me. This thing is super simple to use. It's a 1 touch button, and it has two lights, one for ice full and one for add water. That's it. So when there's the red ring around the front, it means it's in standby mode and it's ready to make ice. Now all you do is lift the lid, and if you look down in there, you'll kind of see that there's a little ledge in the reservoir. That's your max fill line. So you're just going to pour some regular filtered water, or your best quality water. I wish I had my Aquasana, but you're just going to go ahead and turn the machine on, and then you're going to pour water into that reservoir up until that max fill line. That is it, you guys. Once you pour the water in, you're just going to go ahead and drop in the basket. They provide to you a basket that sits right on top of that ledge, can't go down any further, and it comes with that nifty little ice scoop, which you can see down there. It'll fit in there when your thing is not in use, but when it's in use, you want to leave it out on the counter or something so that it doesn't get covered by your ice when it drops down. That's it, you guys. Close the lid and walk away. It takes about 10 to 12 minutes to see your first cubes of ice start to drop down, but look at that. That's the little nugget ice that comes from like Sonic. That's the kind of ice that Cookout had when Daryl worked at Cookout. Love that ice. And that's me trying to peer through the window, trying to get a classy shot, but I'm not classy like that. So I did the best that I could. It was kind of dark in there, but when your ice is full, that light will come on, and then you can notice down in there that it's still even on the ledge. It just stops spinning and spitting out the ice when that thing is full. And then I usually dump that into a gallon size freezer bag. It takes 2 full buckets to empty that water reservoir, which is more than a gallon size storage bag. So I have ice now for days. This thing is absolutely amazing, and like I said, super easy to use. So I'm going to go ahead and leave all of the discount codes, their information, their link, everything down below in the description box. But like I said, I never knew I wanted an ice maker until I got this one, and now I have an abundance of ice, and the best kind of ice at that. Now we're on to muffins, you guys. This is one of my favorite recipes that I'm sharing with you guys, because this has been a recipe in my arsenal for a very long time, and I don't think I've ever shared it with you. So it's super simple. We need some butter, some eggs, some milk, some flour, some sugar, some baking powder, some vanilla, some salt, and of course some blueberries. And some are going to be whole and some are going to be squished, which is absolutely perfect. So I'm going to leave the exact measurements down in the description box for you, because I'm going to kind of plow through this a little faster during the voiceover. But in your bowl, you're going to go ahead and cream your stick of butter and your sugar. Once that's all incorporated together, now you could go ahead and break out the stand mixer. I probably should have, but that thing is so heavy and beastly. Until I can leave it out on my countertop, I never want to just take it in and out. It's annoying. So I usually just end up standing here just either whisking or forking away. But anyways, once your butter and your sugar are creamed together, now you're going to go ahead and add your eggs, but you're going to do it one at a time. So just put one in and whip it really good until you have a nice creamy consistency, and then you're going to add in the second one. Add in your vanilla, and your wet ingredients are done. So set those off to the side, and then now we're going to go ahead and mix our dry ingredients together. So you're going to add in your flour, and then you're going to add in your baking powder, and you want to go ahead and mix those together. Honestly, if you have the time and a sifter, you really should sift those dry ingredients together. All right, before we combine those wet ingredients and those dry ingredients, we're going to kind of go back and forth between milk and then those dry ingredients. So you put in a little bit of milk first and incorporate that into your wet ingredients, and then you're going to add a little bit of that flour mixture, and you're going to kind of go back and forth till you've finished all of the milk for this recipe and all of your dry ingredients. By doing it this way, you're actually creating a super fluffy muffin. You guys will never have a fluffier muffin, I promise you. All right, so out of our 2 cups of blueberries, we're going to take half a cup and we're going to put it in a bowl, and we're going to smash it and smush it and kind of squish them around, and we're going to add that to our done mixture. It kind of sweetens that blueberry muffin and gives that blueberry muffin a blueberry flavor throughout, even if you're not biting just into a blueberry. And now you can go ahead and fold in those last 1.5 cups of blueberries, and then that's it, you guys. Look how yummy that looks. I promise you, you will never have a better blueberry muffin. They're so simple. It's such a super simple recipe, but just the method in which you do it just makes for one of the best blueberry muffins I've ever had. So I actually don't own a muffin pan, you guys. Mental note for myself, asking for Christmas this year. I'd really like a muffin pan, but I use a cupcake pan whenever I'm doing muffins, which is really fine. I get more muffins out of it and it spreads more throughout my size family. So I have only a 12 size cupcake tin and a 6. That's all I own, but that's perfect. Most things go between 18 and 24 for serving anyways. So I just went ahead and set up 18 cups, and I actually have a bunch of different colored of the cupcake liners, and so I did blue for blueberry, and then you'll see later on for my banana muffins I did yellow, just so it's easier to decipher when pulling it out of the freezer. But we're gonna go ahead and load up all of our dough into our muffin tins and then get these into the oven. I did end up with 2 dozen full muffins, and we taste tested some, and then this is what we had left over. So I actually made my banana muffins first, so you see some of those in the Tupperware already. That was the muffins we had left out that I hadn't frozen, and I just went ahead and added some of the muffins to this Tupperware so that we still had some muffins for breakfast out on the counter, and then the rest I load into a freezer bag, and that goes into the inside freezer with the rest of our breakfast foods. Speaking of those banana muffins, now might as well be the time to show you those as well. So this is actually a really super easy recipe. I just realized looking at the counter that I forgot my favorite part. So we're gonna reach back here for those Lily's chocolate chips. Banana muffins are good with nuts too, but this time I want to do a super treat and add some chocolate chips. So I'll link the video that I've done before with my entire breakdown solely dedicated just to filming this particular recipe, but it is super easy, you guys. Flour, bananas, eggs, vanilla, baking soda, sugar, salt, vegetable oil, milk, and then whatever you want to add. I'm adding chocolate chips, but you can do nuts of any kind. So again, I'll link that recipe and the video down below, but we have our dry ingredients right here in this bowl, and then we have our wet ingredients right here in this bowl. Now we're going to go ahead and add the egg, sugar, and oil mixture to our dry ingredients, and we'll just give that a tiny bit of a stir, but it's kind of hard to manipulate at that point. You need a little bit more wet to kind of make it smooth and creamy. So now we're going to go ahead and add our vanilla and then our milk. And there's actually not a whole lot of liquid in this recipe because a lot of the moisture comes from those bananas. So we're gonna stick 3 bananas in a bowl. That's like the perfect consistency and the perfect way to get rid of ripe bananas. So the riper they are, the better, because they smush super easy, and you want to smush your bananas and kind of get them as creamy as possible, because that makes for obviously a creamier and fluffier muffin. So once you've gone ahead and mixed that all together, now we're going to add those bananas to our other mixture. Once that's all incorporated and mixed together, now we'll add the best part, and that's the chocolate chips. The mixture is just so sweet, you guys, and this is somewhat of a Starbucks copycat. They don't do chocolate chips, they only do the nuts, but the base of this muffin is a Starbucks copycat recipe, so it can't go wrong with a Starbucks, right? And so now here I am loading up my cupcake containers. Like I said, I did yellow. I know there's some pink, but it was the last pink left over from Amaya's birthday, so I just want to go ahead and get rid of them, but then the rest are yellow so that we can decipher in the freezer. And the muffins that we left out in that Tupperware were the pink ones, so that those are the ones that we ate, and the one that we froze were the yellow ones. Again, like I said, just to make it easier. I could just label the bag, right? Who the hell cares? I don't know. I was excited about having coordinating cupcake liners. I mean, the things that excite you when you get old, right? Now, something I forgot to note before when we were plating those blueberry muffins is I like to use a ice cream scoop really for anything. Cupcakes, muffins, even putting pancake mix on the griddle. It's just so easy when it's that kind of texture to be able to control it with an ice cream scoop. Just a little piece of advice if it was something that was unknown to you. I know it's pretty obvious or popular, but just something that I choose to do. And then once we're all loaded, then we of course just stick them in the oven, and then poof, out comes the most delectable banana muffins. I thought they came out a little bit dark. Piece of advice if you guys are new here, I kind of burn everything, especially for someone who loves to cook and bake, but they actually were just brown on the outside and they were super soft. So I hope you guys enjoy that banana muffin recipe, because you guys, I absolutely love it. But all right, now we're on to something that I did not go too in depth, because you guys have made pancakes from a box before, right? I mean, I don't really need to educate somebody on adding water to pancake mix, but I wanted to share this one because this is Whataburger pancake mix. I said I would let you guys know how it was, and this is probably one of the best pancake mixes I've ever had. And I've never had pancakes from Whataburger, but now I want them because this mix was bomb. And then I upped it and elevated it and used one of our past food hacks and added 1 cup of confetti cake mix to that already made pancake mixture. And then all that does is make confetti pancakes for us. So my kids love it because they think that they're having cake for breakfast, and it just has that little bit of extra sweetness, but it's still a good pancake mix. And that pancake mix was already kind of on the sweet side, so these are super delectable. I like to do my pancakes on a griddle. I find that it's super easy and I'm able to get more done than I need to. And then once I'm all done, whatever we don't eat for breakfast for dinner that night gets loaded in a gallon size freezer bag and labeled, and off to the freezer it goes. I made these on the night that I tried those Grand's biscuits in the waffle iron for the first time. That was a food hack video that if you guys missed, I'll link up above. But that's what gave me the idea to do the Cinnabuns in the waffle maker. And so this is literally just a regular buttermilk biscuit that I cut in half and then stuck in the waffle maker, and it made waffles, you guys, out of biscuits. Who knew? And they were delicious. My kids loved them, and they actually served well as bread for egg sandwiches. And then whatever leftover stuff that I had leftover sausage that night, and I had leftover eggs. So whenever I have leftovers, instead of wasting it, putting it in the fridge or giving it to the dogs, I'll just go ahead and make something out of it right away. So I just went and took everything and threw it in a wrap. I think I got 3 or 4 wraps out of what I had left, and I just wrapped them in the wax paper, put them in a bag and labeled it, and just stuck this in the freezer. I absolutely love having tons of breakfast meal prep, hence why we are here. All right, now we're on to crunchy French toast. So speaking of food hacks, I've been tearing up the breakfast food hacks from this food hack book because breakfast is my favorite meal to meal prep. And one of the things that Peggy Wang taught me was a crunchy French toast. Who knew you can make fried chicken add a French toast? And so now my kids are obsessed with it, and I love to use the sliced brioche bread. Now this is from Walmart, but if you can find the one from Trader Joe's and you have a Trader Joe's by you, I suggest you get that because that's amazing. Speaking of Trader Joe's, that's their version of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but you can use any kind, whether it's regular Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We've used the French toast kind, we've used Frosted Flakes, Cinnamon Frosted Flakes, Captain Crunch, any cereal you want. The options are endless. You need cinnamon, vanilla, milk, and of course eggs. But you guys, if you've never made French toast like this, I'm about to blow your mind because this seriously is the best way to make some French toast. So now the base of your French toast has got to be eggs. So I usually start with 6 eggs. Sometimes I need more, sometimes I need less, depending on how porous and absorbent the bread is. But once you whisk up the eggs, I add in a little bit of milk, probably about 1/3 of a cup to 6 eggs. And then I probably add in about 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I really love vanilla, especially in my French toast. And then a good amount of cinnamon, you guys, probably like 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. But you're doing a lot of bread and you really want that flavor to kind of absorb. These pieces of, especially the brioche, is so thick that it just kind of sucks everything up. All right, now we need to make our coating. So I poured the cereal into a gallon-sized freezer bag. You guys can use a food processor, but I tend to use this step to take out some aggravation, you have any frustration, something's bothering you, whatever, I tend to use my rolling pin, and it makes me feel better when I'm done beating up my cereal. So once we've kind of gotten as much of a powder as you can, you want it to be as fine as possible, probably why it's better to use a food processor. Then we have all the steps to go ahead and start assembling. So throw a little bit of butter onto the bottom of your pan. I could have used the griddle, but it was just easier that day. We had so much stuff going on that I did not want to break the griddle out. And I love the square copper pan. That's one of the ones I just pulled out of a box when we did the whole storage shed switcheroo. So I was really happy to find this pan. Plus my stovetop has a way to use either the smaller range or a super big one, which I never had before. So it really gets the whole surface area of this pan. So it actually fits 4 pieces perfectly. So I'm going to load up 4 pieces, and then probably takes about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Really, the crispier the better, because you really want all those flavors to caramelize. And then I'm going to flip them over until we get this, you guys. Like, it is just, it is so good. I don't even know how else to explain it. And I think I liked the Captain Crunch one best of all, but the Cinnamon Toast Crunch just complements all the flavors. It kind of just appeases everybody's taste buds on the flavors that they like, and it freezes so well. So I highly recommend trying crunchy French toast if you never have, because if you love French toast, once you go crunchy, you will never go back. All right, speaking of something that once you have, you will never go back, cinnamon rolls in the waffle maker, you guys. Like, who would have ever thought of this? Not me, but once Peggy Wang said to throw a biscuit up in there, I was like, what if we threw cinnamon rolls up in there? And when I went to Sam's, they have the 3-pack of the Annie's, and I figured the Annie's would work out perfect because they're nice size cinnamon rolls, and there's only 5 in a sleeve as opposed to like the Grands that have 8. So I decided to cut them in half. This way each one would give me 10 pieces. I wanted to use them as bread to make a egg sandwich. So something similar to a McGriddle from McDonald's. If I were to eat at McDonald's, that's what I would eat for breakfast. I love the sweet of the bread and then the savory of either your bacon and your sausage with your eggs and cheese on the inside. But no one needs to have a cinnamon roll on each side of their bread. So I figured if I cut it in half, that would work out perfect. And you guys, I lifted the lid when these things were finally ready, and I'm like, look at that. It's a waffle that's a cinnamon roll. Like, you could see the swirl of cinnamon inside of this roll. Like, it was just, I knew that this was going to be something that would blow my family's mind, because we can eat breakfast for dinner every single day of the week. I will say, however, they say that there's no need to spray your waffle maker down with any kind of cooking spray or anything, but I found that they did need to be pried off. They didn't get stuck, but I'm glad that I went ahead and used a cooking spray. And I saved the icing because I never even needed it, because now here's where you're going to see where they come into play. This is my assembly line of egg sandwiches, you guys, and when you see my freezer, it'll blow your mind how long this took. I was literally standing in my kitchen for 4 hours, but I will not have to assemble breakfast for my family for quite some time. So I have on here a bunch of the Mrs. Jones chicken sausage. I have some Hillshire Farm ham that I got from Sam's Club. I have about a pound of bacon made and cooled off to the back. I have some milk because we're going to use that to mix in with our eggs. I have tons of eggs here, you guys. We're about to pour through them. Like, I used a dozen just to do the croissant sandwiches and then another dozen to do the rest. So I ended up using 2 full dozen eggs to assemble all of these sandwiches. But then we have our cinnamon roll buns that we just made. You guys, like I said, I can't even stop talking about them because they're so darn good. And then I have our carb balance mission tortillas for some breakfast burritos. And then I have our croissants from Costco. If you guys have been watching any of my Costco hauls or any of my meal prep, you know my family absolutely loves egg sandwiches on those croissants. So I got those, and then I have some white American cheese, some sliced cheddar cheese, and then some shredded cheddar for the burritos. Now, we need a lot of eggs, like I just said, so get down and dirty, don't be scared, get down to cracking some eggs, and once you have our egg mixture ready, Now here's the part that makes making these breakfast sandwiches so easy. The key, you guys, is a well-greased sheet pan. So I put my eggs on a bacon-greased sheet pan for about 20 minutes on 350 degrees, and it ends up making these super light and fluffy eggs. So while the eggs are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and prep my station and my assembly line so that everything is super easy that once the eggs are done. Now, the reason why we choose to do these eggs is you guys will see that it's not loose like a scrambled egg. So this way allows you to have a full piece to put on your croissant sandwich, so it's not going to falling all over the place when you're eating it. So I have these wax paper sheets, which I find are super amazing for making these kinds of breakfast sandwiches. So I put on one piece of cheese, one piece of that egg, I put on a piece of ham, I wrapped it in that wax paper, and then I just wrote ham on the top. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the process. So I also did it with bacon. I am a bacon person. I would choose a bacon kind of egg sandwich before anything else. So I did bacon, egg, and cheese, and then just wrote bacon obviously on the top. And then I repeated the same thing with the Mrs. Jones's sausage. Because they're links, I cut them in half so that they're flat and fit on the croissant sandwich better, but we all love the chicken sausage, so we don't mind it cut that way. And then once we're all done, you can see that I put them in bags separated. So there's our French toast cooled and in a bag, and now here is ham, bacon, and sausage labeled bags. Now you'll see that that's going to come into play in just a few minutes, because we're going to fill those bags with the rest of our sandwiches that we make for each type. So now our bacon that we had, once those eggs came off, I used the grease for the first set of eggs, and now I'm going to use the rest of the grease for our second dozen of eggs. So go ahead and coat the bottom of your pan again with a bacon grease, and then we're going to load our eggs on and put them back in the oven. Now, this is going to work just the same the way we were able to cut the slices for the croissants. Now this is going to work for us to use a glass or any kind of cup that has a round ring. And we're going to use these eggs almost like a cookie sheet, and we're going to press out the amount of circles that we need to make those McGriddle like sandwiches. So if you remember, there was 5 cinnamon rolls in each container, and each container made 10 because we cut them in half. So that would allow me to make 5 breakfast sandwiches per container. So that would give me 10 in total. So I made sure to cut 10 individual circles, 1 for each one of our McGriddles. And then what we're going to do with that rest of it is we're going to scrape it down, and that's what we can use for our burritos, because our burritos can be a little bit more scrambly and loose. But once we're done with our little circles, then we're just going to go ahead and assemble our McGriddle sandwiches just the way you would any other sandwich. A piece of meat, whether it be ham, a sausage, or bacon, and then a slice of cheese. We'll wrap them in the wax paper and label them. So now, like I said, we're not going to let those other eggs go to waste, right? So that's why we do the ones that we cut out first, because now we're going to take the rest of those eggs and we're going to chop them up, and scrambles is better suited for a burrito. And I really like that I get the opportunity to use these low-carb tortillas, because then it's something that I don't necessarily feel guilty about having. So I just went ahead and repeated the same process, you guys, using whatever ham, bacon, and sausage that I had left, putting down a piece of wax paper, one of those tortillas, then my meat, some of those scrambled eggs, a sprinkle of the shredded cheddar cheese, and then just going ahead and rolling the tortilla. For me, I just fold each one of the sides about a ½ inch in, and then tightly roll as tight as I can, and then I just go ahead and tightly roll it as tight as I can inside of that wax paper so that it stays even together when you're reheating it. And the breakfast burritos, as well as the McGriddles and the breakfast sandwiches on the croissant croissants, they all heat so well in the microwave. I leave them right in this wax paper and I cook them for 1 minute, and then the burritos go in a paper towel for 30 seconds. The McGriddles and the croissant sandwiches go back in for a minute. But look at what we accomplished, you guys. I was definitely exhausted, but I added the ham burritos and the ham McGriddles to the ham bag, and then the same thing with the bacon burritos and bacon McGriddles and sausage burritos and sausage McGriddles. So their bags are completely filled with those particular meats and their type of sandwich. So I have my leftover ham bagged up, my leftover sausage. I even used the last of the tortillas, so I pulled that out to defrost our French toast. You guys, we are cranking on breakfast. But now we're going to do our very last recipe, you guys. We are closing to the end, and that is dark chocolate waffles, you guys. That's right, you heard me right, dark chocolate waffles. So I have my waffle maker out, and we're going to use some Trader Joe's buttermilk pancake mix. I picked this one up last time. I probably will go back to that Whataburger, to be honest, because it was that good. And then this is the dark chocolate Ghirardelli brownie mix. And I just put it in a jar because we're just going to add 1 cup of that brownie mix to our pancake mix. So we're going to follow the instructions on the back of the box on how to prepare it for waffles, which is water, vegetable oil, and eggs. And normally this is just add water mix, but when you want to do waffles, you have to add eggs and vegetable oil. So we're going to go ahead and follow the entire package directions, but then we're going to add in a cup of this dark chocolate mix, and then you're just going to increase the quantity of your ingredients by adding another cup of something. Like it's 3 cups of water to your 3 cups of mix. So I did 4 cups of water since I added another cup of brownie mix, if that makes any sense. The measurements on the back of the box are pretty simplistic, so by adding in a cup, it wasn't hard to figure out exactly what I needed. I do think I should have added in 1 more egg. That was my own bad. The eggs would have been in half increments, so I think I would have added 1 more egg, but at the end of the day, this still ended up being super awesome. So we're just going to go ahead and add our water, our oil, our eggs, and we're going to mix it up. Now, just similar to pancake mix, leave your mix off to the side for about 5 to 10 minutes before you either put your pancakes on a griddle or in a pan, before you put your waffles in a waffle maker, because it really helps give air to your batter. So that helps again for a really fluffy pancake or waffle, and we're obviously all about the fluff in this house. So once you're done mixing, then you're going to load it into your waffle iron. Now, even though there's oil in here, again, they don't necessarily say that you need to spray down your waffle maker, but I use coconut oil spray for everything. I just don't like my stuff to stick. So once we've sprayed everything down, and then we're just going to go ahead and load it into the waffle maker. I love this waffle maker, you guys. It is linked down below in my Amazon store, as well as anything else you guys have seen here, like those bag holders, my knives, anything that you guys might be interested is always listed in that Amazon store. But I absolutely love this waffle maker because it's not just a waffle maker. The plates come out, and there's also flat plates that you can put in there, so it works like a griddle or a quesadilla press, which is what I love so much. You want to make like a stuffed burrito and then load it in there, or obviously a quesadilla, but I love more the burrito style. But this waffle maker is just amazing, and it literally cooks up amazing every single time. I never have a bad waffle, but I obviously used the waffle iron till all of our mix was gone. And then once our mix was gone, I went ahead and loaded this into a freezer size bag and added that to the rest of the breakfast meal prep. You guys, it took me about maybe it was 1 full day and then another day. So it was 2 days at least. It might have been a third to kind of pull all of this together, but I am really proud of what I was able to accomplish because my freezer is just stockpiled with breakfast, and that just makes me feel so good when I open up this freezer and I see all of the breakfast that is in there. If you guys missed my fridge and freezer tour, I will link that up above for you guys so you can check it out, because you guys can see a little bit more detail how everything was laid out in there. But this was a lot of hard work, but I feel like my efforts paid off. But that is it, you guys. We are done. We've drawn another meal prep video to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Again, if you guys are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I love you guys all so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.